Hey there, I'm back again today. This is day 14 of the treatment that is trying to get me out of the immune system failure that I'm in. So today I'm quite tired. I'm not feeling that great, but I'll do a somewhat of a shorter video than yesterday. Yesterday, it was a long video because I really wanted to explain the best I could with the, what I could remember, in the sense that my memory can be foggy at times, and it's not on purpose. It's not trying to hide or to lie about anything. It's just my memory does get foggy. I do forget things. It'll come back at a later time where I'll remember something or I'll actually forget that about something extremely important, like my skin cancer. I didn't mention that because I forgot about it. Today it came back because I was taking a walk during my lunch hour, and I had long sleeves and jeans and a baseball cap, because that's what is the responsible thing to do. I'm not going to aggravate my situation, and somebody stopped me because they wanted to see my dog, and they made a comment like, this is summer, it's 29 outside. And I just smiled, and it wasn't for me to start saying the reason why I mean, it was just a long sleeve. It wasn't like a winter jacket. But anyways, it caught me off guard, and it made me think, oh yeah, so anyways, so today work was busy as usual. And I started noticing that I got tired earlier than usual. Usually I get tired around 2:30. Today it was like 12:30, and I was just really tired. I really struggled in the afternoon, but hey, I made it, and then I took a nap. And so today what I want to talk about, I want to go back in time, when I guess where it all started, when I got diagnosed with HIV, because this is the 12th year now. I got infected in 2006, but I got the confirmed official diagnosis sent to Health Canada in January of 2007, which by that time I was living in Montreal. And that is a defining factor and an event in my life. It was the defining reason why I made that move. I've always wanted to go to Montreal. I've always wanted to live there. I think something about being a borderline personality disorder is that you always want to be somebody else. You always are trying to hide something. You want to start fresh. You like those disappearing act. That was 100% me. I'm not saying I'm 100% changed. I've modified my behavior. I think there comes a point in your life that you have to make a decision where you either live your life and blame everything on being a borderline personality disorder, or you modify your behavior and it's just a part of who you are, but it doesn't define you. And that is extremely hard to do. But I have had help with somebody that was very close to me that I can't thank enough for the skills that he gave me to be in order for me to be in this mind frame now. It's not perfect. I'm not saying I'm cured. By all means, no. Trust me, I fight every day in my mind, in my head, the borderline. It's who I am. My diagnosis was very clear. I am, severely borderline and with the bipolar type 2. However, I manage it my own way with my own tricks, my own skills, without medication, and I'm happy with that. Now, in the way I was, well, first of all, I think in the last 12 years, there's maybe, I have to count on my hands the number of people that have asked me how I got infected with HIV. Now, the person that was very close to me, that I call a mentor and I call a hero, and I treated me like a brother, he asked me years ago, and sadly, I didn't even have the guts to tell him the truth. I have said the truth once, and that was when I got the diagnosis in Montreal with this doctor that made me feel like shit. And since then, I told myself, I'm not going to tell the truth. It makes me feel even worse. When the doctor that diagnosed me in January of 2007 asked me, how did you get infected? Because data, stats, of course they're going to ask, and Health Canada also was going to ask. I said the truth. And the truth was, in the summer of 2006, or spring, summer 2006, I was working for NAV Canada, downtown Ottawa. That was 2 years now. And I had a very, great position, great career opportunity, great outlook. And I met somebody, and I casually started dating, just because, you know what? I don't know. I don't even know why I dated this person. And that's something I've corrected, because I'm very happy being single. I've been single for a while now, and I defined success by being in a relationship, being married before, and I don't anymore. So this individual, I was, and he was older, and he was sexually more open and advanced than I was. To be honest, I was very naive and very sexually repressed and conservative at that time. I never asked about any kind of status, to be honest. HIV to me was something that I was never going to get, because my real uncle, my relative, my mother's brother, died of AIDS in 1992, and he lived in Montreal, and he suffered. He died alone. There was nobody near the end except when it was too late. That's when the family went down to Montreal to say goodbye in his hospital room, where at that point, he was not recognizable. I didn't see him personally. I was told, because everybody was shocked. Everybody had never seen this. Everybody was scared that by touching him or hugging him or whatever, feeding him, or they would get infected. So that's how I was exposed to HIV and AIDS. So in 1992, I was about 19 years old. So it traumatized me, and inside of me, I knew that I was gay, of course, and I was like, terrified to end up like this. And the borderline clicked in where I don't want to die alone. I don't want people to see me this way or look at me this way. So my mind was already racing at that age that, one, I don't want to die alone. I don't want to die like looking disgusting and people pitying me and looking at me. And from then on, I had my own, judgment and how scared I was. So in 2006, so that's still like a good 14 years after that, this person that I was dating knew that I was negative, and I was so naive. I was ignorant and naive, and I was not educated in that sense, and had told me that in order, like, to make him feel special and to seal the relationship, that to make love, he wanted to bareback and have the orgasm and stuff, and that would mean that it's special to both of us. Did you know that I didn't even ask? And he was HIV, of course. That was a surprise, and it wasn't said at that time. There was other days that we had sex, and same thing happened again. So it's like it wasn't just this one time. And how I found out was from one of his friends that was talking about. I won't go. I don't want to go into total detail, but it was mentioning some sex extravaganza at night at his place with his boyfriend and blah blah blah, and that he likes, as a joke, when he does that to a friend or to his boyfriend, or I can't exactly remember, but he would call it, I like to whisper in the guy's ear, here's my bad seed. And I said, I don't even know what that means. What do you mean? Like, he's like, are you serious? I said, what do you mean? I said, I don't know what that means. Like, I'm asking you. If I'm asking you, it's because I don't know. And, I get all defensive, and because that's my defense mechanism. If I feel like somebody's thinking I'm stupid, or even if, okay, I can say it myself, because, of course, when I look back, I was ignorant and uneducated, and seriously, like, anyways, so, and that's when he said, well, aren't you dating blah blah blah? I'm not mentioning any names, there's no point, I'm just saying. And I said, yeah. And he's like, well, he's HIV positive. So, and I turned white as a ghost. He said, I assume you don't know. And I said, no, I was not aware. And he said, you're negative or you're pos? I said, pos as in positive? He's like, yes, we call it pos. I didn't even know that term either. I said, well, I was HIV negative. Like, my mind was already turning that if the guy I was dating was positive and somebody just told me, and after all the times that we had sex unprotected, there was obviously no doubt that I was infected now. So I said, well, I was negative. So this was at a bar, a conversation at a bar. Can you imagine? The person felt so uncomfortable and probably guilty as crap, and I'm sure he, went back to tell the guy I was dating, texting, or I don't even remember if there was cell phone, but I can't remember like how, but I assume that's what happened. So I left the bar, I came home, and I didn't cry, I wasn't upset, I was just furious with my own self that I was that stupid. And I'm like, and then I got to think, why would somebody do that? I was not in love with this person. I knew that it was, for me, it was a fling. Now, I did not know how to approach this situation. I was going to tell him that I was aware of what he did, and I was going to give him my peace of mind. So I wasn't able to do it face to face, like when I knew what had happened. So I wrote him an email, and I actually said, I'm aware of your HIV status. I'm aware that you were aware that I was negative, so you infected me knowingly. And I said, I am going to also say this to you. I know that you did this because you could feel that I was not a permanent boyfriend, or I was not in love with you, and you did this to keep me, which that's something that a borderline would think. So, and I told him, I said, I need time. I said, I'm not getting, you know, I'm not asking you to just to get out of my life or whatever. I just need time to think. And he replied saying I was correct, that he was sorry, and he thought that it wouldn't matter because I would get it. I would get HIV no matter what, because of the way that he perceived me as promiscuous, or judged me that I would be promiscuous. That, anyways, I was shocked by that. So this is exactly how I got HIV. This person still lives in Ottawa. I have talked to him many times afterwards. We are not friends. I have never told anybody. I have never seeked any vengeance, nothing. I just told him that we will never be friends. We will never be anything. However, give me the respect that don't talk don't talk about me. Don't, you know, I don't want to be some kind of prize that you. There is such a weird thing between gay people and people who are HIV, that they infect negative people. It's disgusting. I don't want to get into that, because most of you, it's hard to understand or to even comprehend. So, because I've had people who come up to me and ask me if I could infect them, because they just, that's what they want. They're called bug chasers. Anyways, so since 2006, then I moved to Montreal. When I was living in Montreal, I met somebody who was HIV, and I already knew I was HIV. So now this person died from complications from HIV. So I had everything thrown at me right from the beginning, you know. And when the doctor that diagnosed me and asked me to come back to get my results, and he told me that I was definitely HIV positive. Not only was I HIV positive, I had a very, very aggressive and strong virus, and everybody has a different virus, a different strand, except from the person who gave it to you, right? So I'm like, wow, not only am I confirmed HIV, I've got one of the most aggressive and strong one. And then he asked me how I got it, and I told him, the boyfriend. I said boyfriend. I mean, you know, like, no time for starting to tell the whole big story. So I said the boyfriend that I was dating the summer of 2006 gave it to me, and I wasn't aware, and it was his way of, like, you know, a crazy mental thing to do to keep me, because that was his thing. And the doctor said, are you that ashamed that you can't be honest, that you're trying to hide the fact that you got it because you're promiscuous and you were sleeping around. And I mean, I think I was more shocked to hear that from a doctor than the fact when I heard that, you know, the person that I was dating from his friend, that he was HIV, so that means I got infected from the guy I was dating. And I was embarrassed, and I didn't even know how to react. He, like, again, this is a long time ago. So then he gave me like some papers, and he told me there's a doctor's office in Montreal that all the HIV people go there, and then I was out of his office. Goodbye. From that moment, I said, nobody is ever going to make me feel this ridiculous again. I'm like, again, trying to I wouldn't say make excuses, but I'm like, if this is telling the truth, why say that if it's going to make me uncomfortable? So I've learned from that moment, when it comes to sickness and whether it's physical or mental, if I'm having a discussion, or if I'm telling somebody, if they're going to judge me or they're going to make me feel bad or uncomfortable, I'm going to avoid that. And I'm going to just say whatever they want to hear, or make it up. And that's the sad thing. So from that moment, I never told the truth. And I'm saying it now because I made up so many lies about how I got it, I can't even keep track. So it wasn't really important. Once I got it, I got it. Like, you know, it's not a death sentence unless you're in a situation like mine, which ignorance, and I wasn't educated, or I was stupid, that I would never think I would end up in a situation like this, because everything is from the complications from the HIV, and also, you know, my mental disorders didn't help because I made bad decisions based on that. Hey, this is May 30th, 2018. I've stopped making excuses. I've stopped blaming everybody. I've stopped, you know, like, not taking accountability. Hey, what do you want me to say? I'm far from perfect. I've made lots of mistakes. I've lied. I've, you know, cheated my way into stuff. I've lied my way into stuff. I, you know, did things to get attention, to get love, to get affection, to get accepted. I'm free now. I feel relaxed. I feel like there's everything has been lifted off of my shoulders, because it's just time to just, like, no more of that. So the person that was helping me with life skills and lessons, and my mentor, I'll always think of him as a mentor and as my hero, somebody that accepted me for the person I was at that time, because I was very damaged and messed up and really a disaster, to be honest. I mean, I wouldn't even want to be around myself at that time. So if somebody deserves any kind of praise, or good God, the Nobel Prize would be him. So I felt that I would go back in time with today's blog and start from the beginning, how I got infected, the real exact reason. And I was very honest how, you know, stupid and naive and ignorant I am. What do you want me to say? There's no other explanation. Like I said, I never asked him about his status, or because I trusted, and I just assumed, and I would just I never thought anybody in their right mind would do that. And this also will explain that because of the way I got it, I've been into serious relationships with men that, well, 2 serious relationships with men that were not HIV positive, and I was HIV positive. They're not infected today. They're still negative. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. They were still negative after my relationship ended with them. I have lived my life since 2006. I'll say 2007 then, when I was diagnosed, that my biggest responsibility is to make sure that I protect other people from my disease, the HIV, and I went through extreme measures. I mean, around children, giving them a cookie makes me uncomfortable. Can you imagine? This is extreme, I understand, but I'm just saying that this, I mean, I just made sure that I would never, ever infect anybody on purpose or whatever, and I am very happy to say that 12 years later, I have never infected anybody with HIV. And that is something I'm extremely proud of, because I said to myself, I will never, ever do what was done to me. Even if I forgave this person and I was able to forgive him this year, and I was able to also say it to his face, I forgive you, and I wish you well. My journey has been a rough one, but I am not defined by you or by what you did. Now the side note here, which is extremely odd, not odd, I shouldn't say odd, you guys will find it quite interesting. He has got the same complications as I do. Of course he does, or I should say I have the same complications as him, because he had it before me, sorry. Anyways, I was infected by him, so it makes sense, right? So I won't say anything more, so it, you know, it doesn't divulge the person's identity, because they're in Ottawa, and they're online in the gay websites, and I see him all the time if I go on, and I have never ever said anything badly about him. I've never went to somebody who's interested in him or whatever. I've never done that. I have been quiet and silent about that, because that's the real me. That's the morals that I have. However, people judge me. People think negative of me. So this is liberating, in the sense that because I'm going back in time and I'm trying to start from the beginning. It's a relief to say it again for the second time without being judged. Again, only a few people have actually asked me to my face how I got it. Most of people don't ask, because they assume I'm a slut, I'm a whore, I'm promiscuous, and I've slept with everybody, and that's how I got it. So to my mentor, to this person that believed in me and knew that I was worth something, and that I do have morals, and I do have standards, and I am a good person, and my heart is so big. I asked you to forgive me for lying to you about the way I caught it. If you remember that conversation, I remember like it was yesterday, and I also remember how we called HIV, which was comical because I can laugh about that. I can joke about it. But I wanted you and everybody else to know the real truth. Because if I'm going to do something like this, and if I'm going to start talking into a camera phone and go on like just shooting off what's in my head, which I can imagine whoever's watching this, I don't know how I sound or how I look, or if you know, all this is coming out of my head. I don't have any order, and it might be sporadic. Listen, I apologize. This is me. This is, you know, and I'm able to go back and I'm able to be honest about it, and I'm proud that I never want any harm to this person, and I understood to a certain extent because, hey, I've done some fucked up things to try to keep somebody in my life or to get attention from somebody. Trust me, if somebody knows, it's me. However, I would never jeopardize somebody's health or like, that's not me. Like, there is some good in me, for God's sakes. So, and I wanted that, I'm honest, I wanted my mentor to know that, and I wanted people to know that although this was done to me, that was the one time I didn't seek revenge. And I think, weird enough, now the person that infected me has a long-term boyfriend. I've spoken to this person, and he said to me, you're Dan, you're Dan. And I of course I was like, is that meant as a special? Am I special or whatever? Because I don't socialize, or I don't talk. Well, I don't even socialize with gay people, but especially, you know, those two. And he said he never got over you. And of course my ego was flattered, but I was also shocked again. And I guess that's because I never got mad. I never did anything, you know, legally or to him because of that. Because I've read stuff online. I'm aware of the legal stuff. It's a criminal offense. And you know what? Even if, and I knew at that time too, it wasn't even my goal. And the reason for that is because I knew in my heart that for me, with my mental illness, I could forgive him, and I could understand why someone would do that. Not that I would. I'm just saying I had more of an understanding because of my struggles, because of how my mind was so different than people, and how one thought or something is happening and my mind goes so quick, it just turns everything. Like in 30 seconds I've created a story, I've made up my mind about something that quick, and that's how fast it goes. And that's why with mental disorders, you're just drained, and you can't help it. Your brain goes so quick. And then with my physical, you know, sickness, I mean, I'm lucky that well, let's face it, I don't socialize, I'm not active. I have my dog, I work from home, and I take walks. Okay, I clean my house and everything, but it doesn't take me much from being exhausted to like the point, like sometimes I'll feel exhausted, like I ran a marathon and I need to just like you know, now just talking and reliving, and with the day that I had, I'm out of breath because I'm exhausted, I'm tired. But this is important. It's important to me because I want who the people who were extremely important to me, that they may not be in my life anymore, or they may not be close to me anymore. That's the life of a borderline. We live our life alone because it's the best way for everybody, to be honest. And I'm not making excuses. I feel so much less stress that I don't have people really close to me that I love and I cherish and I want to protect. And it's because I care so much and I love so much. It becomes a daily struggle, and it becomes so draining, and it affects them as well. And this is my borderline, so I'm not saying it's everybody, but that's the reason. We don't choose to be alone. We don't love to be alone. We're not loners. It's easier because it hurts too much when you have people close to you and you keep messing up, and you try to explain, and it just doesn't make sense, and it doesn't matter because they don't understand what you're going through. And deep down, you do stupid things, or whatever happened, you push them away. Most of the time you're not really aware, and it's because it hurts less, and you don't want them to be hurt by you or by what you're doing. And cowardly enough, it's easier. So to all these people, all the people that I've pushed away, in my life, this is the reason why I'm doing these blogs. And I will never say I'm cured, I'm new, it's a new Dan. No, it's still the same me. It's because I just think differently, I process things differently, and I see things differently. And the last 2 years, or the last year and a half, when things happen to me, like I'm always smiling because I keep remembering certain things that certain people have told me, or actually things I've done to people in the past, mean things, pretended to like somebody, stopped dating somebody but didn't even bother telling them, and I thought that was funny, and because I was hot, I was cool, I was popular, it made me feel good. Yeah, congratulations, genius. I was hurting people, and I didn't care back then. I stopped obviously hurting people on purpose to feel good. That stopped, like, 10 years ago or whatever. When I hurt people or did things to that make them upset, that wasn't on purpose. So, but anyways, my point was, this karma that it keeps slapping me in the face. That's why I laugh, I smile at situations, because I'm like, yeah, that's karma. I mean, and it's fine. You know what? I enjoy it because it's how I'm learning. Hey, it's late in the game. Does it really matter? No. Nobody around me really. So I'm learning, and it's for me, for my own thing. So this and all these little rants and this talking, and people who know me, I don't like doing this, in a sense that I don't like talking to a camera. I don't like making videos. I don't like taking pictures. I've mentioned it before. It makes me very uncomfortable, and I'm stepping out of my comfort zone, because that has not changed. Because it's important enough for me to feel uncomfortable. One, I'm going out of my comfort zone, so it should say something. And two, I want whoever still thinks of me, or still has me in the back of their mind, and I've been a part of their life, because I've had a lot of people that were in my life, and that they're obviously not in my life now. Like I said, there is nobody close to me right now, so it's for them, and it's also for, that's the aspect of the my mental state and my emotional state, and you know, that's for them. And then the medical side of this and these blogs, that's just so that nobody else has to go through this, and if it can help anyone avoid this, then great. So, and I try to give back every day, and even by walking my dog and talking to you know, an old man. I don't like saying older gentleman then, but it's just so that you could understand. And talking for 10 minutes, because I know if he's talking to me for 10 minutes, he's probably lonely. He's enjoying this conversation because I am genuine. I look at him in his eyes, and I give him all the attention, and I'm having a conversation with him. And I see that it makes his day, in a sense that, you know, he's had a conversation with this young man and blah blah blah, and somebody, you know, took the time to stop and, you know, carry a conversation. And I even asked him about something, and then I just, you know, went back on my way. Before, I would just, I don't even know if I would even say hi. I would just pass right by, like, I don't care. That's the difference I see today in myself, and I enjoy it, because if I see that when I do something like that, that's just an example, but I saw that the older man was smiling, was happy to talk, was happy to tell me that he was from Germany, and that in Germany there's wiener dogs, and they call them, you know, he told me the accent, but in German, and I was actually very interested. I'm not going to fake it either, and that's how the conversation went. And I could tell he was very happy and very proud of his heritage, and he had an accent, and you know, and mind you, he thought my dog was a male, and that was a little funny. And then when he asked what my dog's name was, I said Sandy, and he said, "Well, that's quite an odd name for a male wiener dog." I felt it wasn't my place to correct him, you know, like, what, doesn't really matter, but I thought it was funny. So that was my lunch hour. Like, I took a walk with my dog and stuff, and I met this older man. I've never seen him in the neighborhood. I obviously, he's never seen me. I mean, most people think I've just moved here, so again, which I don't correct, and it's funny. So I get stopped. Every time I take a walk, minimum once to 5-6 times, and my walks can go from 15 minutes to 2 hours if I'm stopped 5 times and people carry conversations with me. You know what? I enjoy it. I will have a conversation with whoever, you know. I guess it's maybe I'm at that age where I'm old now, and I'm walking my dog and I'm having conversations with strangers, but it feels good. They're obviously enjoying having a conversation with somebody that's walking their dog. It's just something, again, that I smile, because that's not something I would have done 5-10 years ago. I would have walked the dog, and that's it. I wouldn't have talked to anybody. I wouldn't have looked at anybody. I would have just went, that's it, done. And, you know, the dog got it, the walk. Now, I go for a walk, and I just take it full on, and whatever comes my way, comes my way. Same thing when I take the bus. So, I think I said I was going to do a short video or shorter, and that I was tired. I actually got energized as I was doing this video. That's a good sign. So, and I also caught myself generally smiling, and it feels good. And it also feels good to be able to, you know, not worry about being honest, and not worry to admit the faults that I did, because at the end of the day, I'm admitting that to people I love and I care about, and that makes me feel good. Because if I didn't still care, if I didn't still love them, I wouldn't feel good about, you know, wanting to tell the real story, the honest story. And for once, showing my real self. There's one person that saw right inside me, right to my heart, the kind of person I was. As much as I doubted and I questioned and I gave him a hard time. I mean, again, this person deserved a Nobel Prize, to be honest. I mean, I know I joke about it, but it's true. And the only piece I can, because I've hurt this person. I laugh because that's why I make a joke about the Nobel Prize. I'm sorry, I have to, because I don't want to get emotional. I don't want to, be sad and hurt because of things I've done in the past. So that's why I always bring up the Nobel Prize. It's not as any disrespect, or it's not to excuse my behavior. So that's the explanation. And I think I'm going to sign off on this. So today's blog, day 14 of the treatment, I'm going to call it like my first diagnosis, how I got diagnosed with HIV, which was in 2006. And we'll see tomorrow what if I do a blog or what it'll be about. I'd rather be spontaneous and just, like, I guess, all over the place. That's still me. What do you want me to say? There's still that little kid inside of me, that little insecure, naive kid. However, it doesn't define me anymore, and it doesn't need to always come out 24 hours a day. I can be mature. I can be an adult. I can make decisions. I can educate myself. I read things online. My goodness, isn't that enlightening? I wouldn't have done that 3, 4 years ago. Of course not. Why would I read online? Yeah. Thank you again, mentor, for have suggested that, and I basically shot it down. I don't read. It gives me a headache. I don't like reading. Yeah, that's still the case. However, I will force myself to read. I get a headache. I take a pause. I take a fucking break, and then I go back to reading. Sometimes I shake my head and I'm like, how the hell was I functioning, or thinking in that way? So, yeah. And even YouTube or doing videos, good God, I wouldn't have been caught dead years ago doing this. I laugh at people who do these videos. I think I judge them just as they judge me for other reasons. So that's why I think this is hilarious that I'm doing this, when I think it's so ridiculous and etc. So, but I think that's what makes me genuine, and that's what I like, and that's how I feel inside, and I make an effort, again, as uncomfortable as this is. But once I start talking, I just don't shut up. And that's probably because I don't have much, I don't talk to anybody during the day, except at work, which they all think I'm nuts, and they all think obviously I rant too much. So I guess this is also a self-therapy in a sense. I don't know, because I see the little counter there on my phone. It says 50 minutes, and I'm like, did I just talk for 50 minutes? My goal was like a half an hour video. I don't even, like, how are people supposed to watch these videos for 50 long minutes? If you made it to the end of this video and the one yesterday, good God, pat yourself on the back. You deserve a medal, because I can only understand that song, and I'm aware that there's basically nobody that watches these videos. It's not necessarily for right in the moment, and down the road they'll be watched or whatever. And if not, I'm okay with it. I still get something out of this. I'm still laughing, I'm still smiling, and I still feel good, even if there is no one that's going to watch this. I just see, I saw that myself too. I had something in my head there. I just went away. Hey, little borderline bipolar moment. I don't know. And I'm not gonna share what I just escaped to, but it's time for me to sign off and go to bed, get some rest. Oh, speaking of that. The insomnia is getting much better with the treatment, so I'm happy with that, in the sense that I can actually sleep. As far as the rest, I'm not going to talk about this today. I want to leave on a positive note, and thanks for listening. Thanks for keeping an open mind, and be kind. Do something nice for somebody. Give somebody a compliment, and that's what I want to end my blogs every time. And step out of your comfort zone. Do something for somebody that you would not necessarily do, or talk to somebody that you would never approach before. Put down your judgment. That's all I ask. Have a good night.